Hey, Amy Posner here, and I want to talk to you today about a somewhat sensitive topic for some people, and that is client relationships, managing them once a project is underway, even a little bit about determining whether there should be a relationship to begin with. Okay, so I've had a lot of inquiries lately about very specific client challenges, but situations where clients are going a little bit overboard in terms of their expectations and where they are leaning heavily on the contractor that they've hired to support them emotionally, but also to adapt to the situation. And I think sometimes it feels a little bit manipulative because if somebody is so upset, you tend to want to help them. So, it all starts back at the sales call. And I don't want to talk about the sales call, but I do want to say that, having that process dialed in is really important. When you do a sales call the, right way, you establish, who you are and how you move. And it's kind of the difference between being, a freelancer and being a business owner. Freelancers just don't get a hell of a lot of respect where business owners do, because freelancer implies fly by night. It can say flaky, where business owner, implies, business hours, shows up, solid, reliable. In the initial sales call, and I talk about this in my No Sweat Sales Calls program. So, I go into great detail there, but what I want to say is in the sales call, when you run that call, so when you have a process and you walk them through these very deliberate steps, then they get a sense that you're a business owner who is serious and you have systems and processes. So it really starts there. But even if you haven't done that and you land a client and you find yourself in a situation where either the common things that I've been hearing about lately is people not responding quickly, like, sending something over for a client to look at and they don't get back to you, or they don't get back to you in a timely way. Or they change their plan mid-project and suddenly, there's some new urgency or something that has to get done, or they're freaking out because they've spent a lot of money and they're worried about their launch, or things aren't positioned properly. And it's not really your fault, but it can feel like your fault because you're intimately involved in that process with them. So what I want to suggest to you is that you don't treat the client as an adversary, that you're kind with them, but that you're firm and that you're businesslike. I see a lot of situations where people are very quick to jump into the adversarial role, like, wait, you're trying to take advantage of me and I'm not going to put up with that. And, things can escalate and get very tense very quickly. And instead, I think if you just do the common thing of giving them the benefit of the doubt, at least the first time around, and assume, they're not out to get you, but they're equally confused and nervous and afraid of what's happening. Now, that's not always the case, but it often is. And that's something that I saw recently where the client, she was worried about her own launch and her own product. And so the particular copywriter who was writing about that product ended up bearing the brunt of that because the client's uncertainty was reflected in how she saw the copy, right? Like suddenly, I don't know if I can say that, or maybe I should say this, or I don't know if I'm going to get a response, or I've spent so much money, so I'm just going to raise the price. And then as the contractor, you find yourself in the position of consultant, advisor, and sometimes punching bag. So I think the best way to deal with that, and this is one of the things I talk about for scope creep as well, it's fine if somebody wants to change the project, but it doesn't mean that it just gets included in what you agreed on earlier. Now, when I say it's fine if they change the project, that's not always a good idea. And sometimes it's really ill-advised. And I will even say to someone, I really don't think you should go down that route. I think you should stick to the original plan. And here's why. Or occasionally they should go down a different route and you discover things as you're moving things forward. You discover new ideas or you get responses from your audience. And yes, you should certainly adapt them. But if you're the contractor and you've created their website or you're writing their copy or whatever the case may be, because they get those insights, it doesn't mean that you got to jump on a dime and change it for them as part of the contract. And so the very simple solution to that, when someone comes back and says, I think we need to take another direction, or, I don't really like this and it no longer suits me. And you can say, okay, well, let's talk about how we need to change this, what you want to see, and what the cost will be, what the cost involved will be for switching the project up. And make sure that you make it very clear that you're a business owner, you have agreed to something, and you're not going to do something else just because someone changes their mind. It's sort of like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy, like hiring a lawyer to write a document. Could be a will, could be a business agreement. And as they're putting that together for you, they deliver it, you look at it and you think, I've really changed my mind. Well, they'll go ahead and change it for you. They're happy to rewrite it and do whatever you want. But, like in the case of an attorney, often they're charging you by the hour. So it's very crystal clear that, like, if you say yes and stop now, then the price is what it is at this moment. If you say no and you need some changes, then the price is going to be whatever it is that they tell you it's going to be for getting it the way that they want it to be. And you are in no different a position. I think what happens often is, especially if you haven't been a business owner long or you haven't been one before, or you've spent a lot of time in an employee role, it's very easy to flip back into that role and to feel like this person is in control and in charge of the situation and that you don't have any say. And I just think that's flat out not true. I think that you are entitled to run your business the way that you want to run it. And I think people respect you when you stand up for what you see or for what you offer. And when I say stand up for what you see, I mean, like when the person comes back to you and says, well, I think I'm just going to sell this for more because I'm no longer sure that I can sell X of them and I need to make Y revenue. Like, that's not how you determine pricing. And so, you're perfectly legitimate to say to them, geez, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Like, how did you arrive at the original price and why did you create that? And, where are we going here? Now, them changing the price is not going to, affect much of what you're doing, very likely. But because you're involved in the process, I think it's really important to say what you believe. Even if the client denies that and says, yeah, you know what, I hear you, but this is the way I'm going to make my financial equation work. And then when it in fact doesn't work, they will remember you were perfectly happy to do what they wanted, but you also potentially advised against it, and for good reason. And so that just reassures them again that you're rock solid and that you know what you're doing. And you have just as many rights in the relationship as they do, and it's an exchange of value. You're giving them some work product, they're giving you some money, and there's a tipping point at which this money no longer equals the work product. You're up here with the work and they're down here with the money. They need to be aligned, and you need to feel good about it. And I'll just close by saying that people will respect you when you stand up for yourself. And I don't mean to do it in an arrogant way. I think you can be open-hearted and kind about it, and also be really strong and kind of put your foot down and know what your boundaries are. And, along those lines, I would just say it's a good thing to think about and to have an idea before, because it's way easier to set the boundary or to know what you want in the abstract. When you get into a real life situation, sometimes, all that falls away because we fall into old habits or patterns or fears or worries. So I just want to empower you to know that, you're a business owner, you're entitled to, have your say and your stake in this particular relationship. Yeah. And so, yes. And you have your right and you have your say. I hope that helps. Just as a final note, I have been running a mastermind for the last 6 months called Magnetic North. It is ending in June and it is repeating. Round 2 is starting in July. There's still some seats left in it. It's very small. It's only 12 people. And it's about figuring out what do you want your business to look like and then making that happen, both in terms of the content, what you're doing on a daily basis, and also the kind of money that you're making. And I've got a great case study that's about to come out. Happy to share that with you. Hit me up by email and I can send that your way. Or go take a look and see what the Magnetic North Mastermind is about on my site. And there's a form there you can fill out if you want to know more about it and have a conversation with me to see if you might be a fit. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. I'll get you next time. And if you want to be notified when the episodes drop, click the bell and you will be. Take care. Bye now.